Hey Kev, let's follow this trail over here. This looks like there might be something waiting down there.
All right. Hey, wait a minute. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I thought it was just me. What the heck is that?
I don't know what that is. Whoa, do you smell that too?
That's unbelievable. Hey, look.
What the?
Hey, look, those branches are moving over there.
What the heck is that?
Holy cow, is that what I think it is? Look at that thing.
Oh my God.
It's a freaking Sasquatch. Welcome to the Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters podcast. My name is W.J. Sheehan, and I am the author of a series of books, 39 to be exact, called Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters. They are available in audio and paperback format at Audible and Amazon, and also Kindle and all kinds of other funky stuff. And now, may I introduce you to my brother and co-host, KJ Sheehan. Kev, how are you?
I'm doing all right, Bill. I'm loving the warm weather we're starting to get down here in North Carolina, although everything is coated in the dreaded green pollen down here.
Yeah, green pollen, nothing like it in the nostrils.
And it's like early. I think it's like a month early this year.
Oh, you're blessed. Not everybody has that quantity of green pollen.
Did you say I was blessed because I sneezed? Because I've been sneezing all day.
Oh, my God, green pollen.
Oh, my goodness. And I have a black truck, and the truck is just green.
Yeah, no, black and pollen of any kind, it just destroys the whole bit.
I washed it this morning, and like an hour later, it was green.
Well, maybe you should tell people it's just Army. You know, it's
exactly.
a new paint job.
It's like a camo.
Wow, cool paint job, dude. Is that vinyl?
Yeah. How are things up there? Is it starting to warm up?
Yeah, I had 70s yesterday. I was out in my shorts power washing the house.
Nice.
Yeah, it was perfect. I mean, water flying around and everything didn't bother me at all. I was warm, hanging out, you know, and of course in the afternoon it started to cool down, but I didn't care, man. I was having a good old time.
Hey, 70 on a sunny day is nice.
Nice stuff, man.
Nice.
So, what do we have at cryptids in the news and other oddities tonight, my brother?
Yeah, we're going deep into the other oddities tonight, Bill.
Other oddities.
And this topic was suggested by one of our listeners, the evil eye.
And we're not talking about my eye, are we?
Well, only if you give people the evil eye.
I like to raise one eyebrow and look at them, and they go like, what the heck is that?
That's more like stank eye. Don't confuse stank eye with evil eye. But it's funny, Bill, you know, we've been, for our audience, we've been having all kinds of technical difficulties tonight getting going on my end, which we don't normally have much. And I have been holding and looking at this evil eye amulet. And this last go-around, Bill, I'm not touching it. I'm not even looking directly at it. I'm kind of glancing at it.
When you say amulet, it reminds me of the old mummy movies with Boris Karloff, the amulet.
Exactly. I looked out in the dark outside right now, and I thought I might have seen the mummy looking in. Fortunately, it was just Dog Man.
Hey, listen. You know, Phil, my buddy Phil, listening to the podcast. Phil, how are you, brother? Phil was in, like, what you would call, like, professional wrestling at one time. Southern style. And, I'm not sure what the format was, but Phil played the part of this mummy wrestler. And there is a clip on YouTube, a very brief clip. Phil, I know you're listening. If you could send me in a link, maybe Kev could post it. It's kind of comical.
Kind of comical. Professional wrestler dressed like the mummy is definitely comical.
And Phil's dressed as this mummy, stomping around in the ring slowly, just like the old Mumpy used to do. And he told me he had the wrappings loaded with like talcum powder. So if anybody hit him or he clobbered somebody with a slow forearm, debilitating blow, the talc would come flying out.
But I'm guessing he could have used like the mummy's curse to paralyze people.
Yeah, there was some stuff going on there, but I'm still laughing. I'm not even looking at it. I'm still laughing. Oh, my God. Professional wrestling. Those were in the days when the guy would reach into his trunks and pull out like some kind of secret freaking sand to throw in the face of the guy, and blind him.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, anything went.
Yeah, anything. It was a total goof.
I liked them when they were smacking each other with the folding chairs.
Yeah. Yeah, diving off the turnbuckle, in flight, crashing onto somebody.
They're still doing that stuff. I was watching an ad the other day. Apparently some big thing's coming up, and they were jumping off of the turnbuckle.
Yeah, there was this guy. What the heck was his name? I can't think of his name now. He was a high school principal from Long Island that moonlighted as a wrestler.
Well, there's one that was the son of the high school principal.
I don't know about that, but this guy used to chew on the turnbuckles and rip the stuffing out of them and like grimace at the audience.
All right, there's one from over in Ward Melville High School that was pretty famous, Cactus Jack.
Oh, I remember that guy.
Yeah, Cactus Jack was the son of the principal, I think.
Okay, he was a big dude, and he used to wear a cowboy hat when he came out,
Yeah, he was
right?
like a redneck and missing teeth and stuff like that. But I met him. He's a really nice guy. And he's like super soft-spoken, like, totally different than the character.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, we're gonna do our own version of the mummy's curse. We're gonna talk about the evil eye.
Okay, bro, let's have it.
And this one's, something else, Bill. Like we all have heard about the evil eye, right? And it has one big set of meanings. And it's interesting. History says that about 40% of the world's cultures, so not countries, but cultures of the world, believe in some form of the evil eye.
Huh.
And that there is mention of the evil eye in Roman and Greek texts, as well as in the Quran and in the Bible. They talk about the evil eye. And the curse goes back, the writings about the curse go back to 3000 BC.
Amazing, isn't it?
Completely amazing.
Do you believe in the evil eye?
I don't want to say I don't because I didn't believe in it and then my computer kept crashing.
I have to tell you, I'm game to hear what it's about, but I think it's a lot of malarkey.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of it is misunderstood, right? But like some of it goes to like people would have this like stare where they're looking at someone, right? Kind of like you with your raised eyebrow, and someone would say, "Oh, I think they're giving me the evil eye."
Well, I tell you, there is one evil eye I believe in, and that was when I used to pick up a girl for a date at her house.
And her dad?
Yeah, either or. You always got that snake eye,
Didn't our sister talk about the evil eye a lot? I think she used to say, like, "Hey, they're giving me the evil eye." It's coming back to me now. You're gonna have to ask her.
The evil eye.
Yeah, but it's like, so this culture believes that there's some type of supernatural force that either certain people or any person can use to cast harm upon others, but usually certain people.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain tribes and that of ancient times would be said to be gifted with the evil eye.
Yeah.
Or the curse of the evil eye.
Now, there has certainly been, like you don't see this stuff regularly in the store, but I'm sure traveling abroad in street side shops and here and there globally, you're going to find examples of jewelry or things incorporating the evil eye.
Absolutely.
So it is steeped
Yeah, and
In
this charm that I have, my friend, I think I mentioned it on the podcast where somebody wrote in about the evil eye. My friend out in Western Canada sent me this one Christmas. Like he always sends me a card, and then he sends some type of little like trinket type gift. And I opened it up this past year, and it was like I was like, "What the heck is this?" And it came with a little card talking about the evil eye and that this would, if you place this in your house, it would ward off the evil eye and protect you from the evil eye. And typically, when you look at these things, and you've seen them, they're like a round piece of kind of glass. Mine is blue. And then it has like a round eyeball kind of painted on it in the center.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that, and it's on like the best way I could describe it is like a graduation tassel,
Okay,
like,
it's like a hanging pendant.
it's a hanging pendant, and mine has a couple of round orbs on it, like marbles, and then some silver charms hanging from it as well.
Now, I want to take you on a little side note.
Yeah.
You know nothing about what I'm going to say, Kev. Neither does the audience. I'm a firm believer in objects that are manipulated or curses and spells put on them by people with bad intent.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm not going to go down that road, but I'm going to tell you a true story happened to me.
Ooh.
In our old house.
Did it involve a mummy?
No, but it involved what I believe, I'm certain, was a cursed object.
Ooh.
Now, you know how Mom used to, I don't know what she did. She yard sale picked or whatever. She used to have all this little stuff around. Remember that?
She did like some cursed objects, too.
Well, so she had this little pottery face hanging on a tack on the wall. It was probably 1.5 times the size of a silver dollar. That's how small it was.
Okay.
It was made out of like a beige or rose-colored pottery with no glazing on it, circular, and it was a picture of like a cherub's face with its eyes closed, smiling. So a period of time came when I was nightly being bombarded in my mind with this evil face staring right at me in my mind's eye saying, "You're going blind." Just like that. And it kept happening. And it was horrific. It would wake me up. So, one morning when I got up, or it might have been at night when I got up, my eyes were fixated on this little closed-eyed, smiling cherub. I got up, I took that mother jumping thing, and I smashed it to freaking pieces. Guess what happened?
No more problems.
No more problem.
It's funny because when you started saying that, I started looking around here, and I'm like, my God, I hope I don't have this evil thing here.
Well, the thing, no, I smashed this thing, Kevin. This is a true, God's honest, true story. And I believe at the time that God revealed to me, as a matter of fact, I heard in my mind's eye, I heard that object is cursed, destroy it. And that's when I grabbed it and smashed it.
See, and if you went to bed apparently with an evil eye amulet around your neck, your computer wouldn't work, but it would have protected you from that evil bastard.
There's stuff out there. There are evil people out there. You look at people that put curses on things and make these little voodoo dolls and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're creating and calling in demonic forces, doing incantations and spirit guides and all kinds of nonsense that they don't even realize what they're dealing with.
Hey, I wear a cross around my neck, as you know. I don't wear an evil eye amulet, but I do wear a cross around my neck, and I figure can't hurt.
Yeah, no, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt you.
Can't hurt.
So go ahead, move on. That was a side note
today,
I had to share.
And going back 3,000 years, different cultures, like in Greece, they talk about it a lot, where people hang these amulets. I guess it's an amulet, that's what I'm calling it, on their door of their house to protect them from the evil eye. So, and there's different ones, like I described one of them. And then another one that's really popular, I'm pulling up a picture of it here to look at it while I describe it to you to make it easier for me to describe. But it's like a hand, like picture me holding my hand up with my palm facing you.
Right, and the thumb alongside the hand.
Thumb alongside the hand, and then it has this eye like in the middle of the palm. Mm-hmm. It's not a real hand. It's like a painting of a hand, not photorealistic.
Kind of like a tarot card.
Yeah, with an eyeball in the middle. That's another one of the symbols. And that you'll see as a charm as well that you can wear around your neck or hang it up on your front door or in your car or wherever you want to be protected. I know, but
yeah. I mean, there are people that are hardcore steeped in the belief of this stuff.
Yeah. And then what's interesting, like I thought was interesting, as I'm researching this, there's like a whole nother thread that folks talk about what I would call, and I don't know if you talked about this, Bill, when you were a kid, but like if someone said, hey, you're doing really well, and you'd say, don't jinx me. Meaning you're going to make me do badly. Did you ever hear that? Like,
yeah, of course, and or that whole knock on wood thing and everything else.
But the fact that you're giving me a compliment, and in this evil eye research, there's another thread that people say that like when someone says something good about you or someone else, and something bad happens right after that, that has to do with the evil eye.
Yeah, man, there's so many things,
I know. But
I'm not that way, Like I'll say, oh, the weather's beautiful today, and they'll be like, shh, don't say that. Come on, people, wake
exactly.
up.
So somehow that also, on a lot of these threads, traces back to something to do with the evil eye. We used to just say, don't jinx me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't jinx me by saying that.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, your suit looks really good. Oh, if you say that, I'm going to spill some fruit punch on it.
And you might spill some on it anyway.
Well, maybe I just want to spill something on it, too.
Yeah, I have to tell you, it is interesting, and it is definitely within the realm of many societies on Earth. But I've never been superstitious myself. I'm pretty cut and dry of my beliefs and what I think is at work on this planet, as I've stated many times. And I really believe that all of this stuff is invasive, spiritually invasive, to open you up to other things,
Yeah. I'm a little bit superstitious. If I see a ladder, up against a building. I just saw one last week, when I was traveling. And I was like, I'm not walking under that, So I'm not like what I would call crazy, dysfunctional superstitious, but certain things, I'm like, I don't know. When the black cat runs across in front of me, I'm like, oh, that wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, then there's other stuff that's just hardcore. Like I'm working on a bunch of stuff on the guitar, and I just put down AC/DC Night Prowler, which is a very simple song. But if you listen to the lyrics,
oh, yeah,
it's freaking vicious, man.
AC/DC specializes in that.
Yeah.
Just keep your cross around your neck. You'll be okay.
Yeah. The guy's screaming out, and you won't see the steel till it's hanging out your back.
I'm your night prowler.
You got it, man.
Oh, I know the song. It's a good one. I like all that AC/DC. Yeah, so anyway, I mentioned it earlier that in the Quran, They talk about it. And in the Bible, they say here in this research, I didn't go and look it up, but they say that Jesus warned against the evil eye in a list of evils that Mark described in chapter 7, verse 22 of Mark's Gospel.
Kev, I have to tell you, not in my Bible.
Okay.
There's a lot of people out there say a lot of things. I can't tell you how many times I've been through the New Testament.
Yeah, and you never heard that.
There is no mention of the evil eye.
Because I've been through a couple of times, but I haven't heard about the evil eye.
Yeah, and if you have certain unauthorized versions, which there are many.
Well, I do have the Bart Simpson version of the Bible.
Yeah, well, it's probably in there, where people just write up, the Holy Scriptures in the simplest of verbiage,
Right.
and they fill in the blanks with whatever they want, like you're having a conversation on the street.
Right.
I mean, to me, there's something very holy about the Bible, and all right, if you want to speak or translate a Bible into like human speak, like you were talking from a pulpit or having a conversation, evangelizing somebody, that's up to you. But the Scripture is the Scripture. And I've read many versions, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not buying it. They take something away.
Yeah.
They're nice, they're easy. Some of them are way easier to read and just think about things, but you're not going to get like Hebrew and Greek and Latin translations out of a New American Standard Bible or an NIV or anything else,
Yeah, I mean, it's probably complimentary, but don't reach a conclusion off of it.
Exactly.
Especially about the evil eye.
Exactly.
So, Bill, so far so good, but I don't want to jinx it. I haven't touched this amulet, and our recording's going great.
Well, I'm game for good
and I'm
recording.
I'm still not going to touch it until we're done.
How about we'll sing a couple of verses of Night Prowler?
Now you're jinxing it. All right, what do you got tonight, other than some verses of the Night Prowler?
This is a really interesting account, a lot of detail in this. I'll ask you to stay with me on it, and as you're about to hear, the person or persons that gave the testimony were both college professors, so you'll understand how the conversation went. Bobby and Terry Rawlings brought this incredible tale and sighting to my attention in August of 2016. Folks, it's 2025. That's 9 years ago, Kev. So I've been at this for quite a while.
Yeah.
Bob and I had retired after 2 long careers as professors in California colleges. We had talked about moving somewhere in the Pacific Northwest and purchasing a timber frame style home. Our punch list was quite simple for what and where the home would be. Our desire was for some seclusion without achieving a hermit's life in the process. We were looking for considerable acreage if possible, including the possibility of wildlife being in the area. Lastly, the home must be constructed of either timber frame or log, inclusive of some stone of some sort. Our budget at the time was in the neighborhood of $2 million. We had done a considerable amount of research around this home purchase and had determined this number would land us what we wanted. Terry and I had made contact with an executive realty service. They were well known in the industry for locating fairly high-end properties. We had seen several beautiful homes over about a 3-month period, and none had quite met our liking. One afternoon, the realtor called and told us she had been contacted with what she called a deal of a lifetime on a home in Oregon. She said the buyers were highly motivated to sell, and the price was well below retail on similar homes. She came to our house, showed us a portfolio of fantastic pictures, and off to Oregon we went. When we had arrived at the house, I couldn't believe what we were walking into. Now, this is the wife. Honey, let me take Bill on a little sidetrack here for just a minute, she said to me. The two of us had really done our homework on this style of home for over a year. We knew construction costs, acreage prices fairly well before we entered into this. Initially, we were thinking of having a home built, but we steered away from that because of time concerns and decided to purchase one already built instead. Now go ahead, honey, finish what you were saying before I interrupted. So we're back to the husband. Anyway, as we went inside, we were introduced to the couple who owned the place. They had only been living there for 4 years. They told us they had to relocate quickly because of some urgent family issues in the East. Now, I was already calculating during our tour that on a bad day, this home must have cost them $2.5 million to construct, and their asking price was $1.8. A short while later, we were out in the yard, where we came upon a contractor and two men doing some repairs on what amounted to be the best chicken coop on the planet. We knew it was a coop, but it had no chickens in it, and we could easily tell that it had chickens in it by looking at it. This glorious coop was built in timber frame like the rest of the house. When I asked what had damaged the structure, the owner said it was from a storm. Now, I'm nobody's fool, and although we were standing close to a lot of forest, there was nothing near the home that could have fallen on it, and I couldn't help wondering how this damage had really occurred. Nevertheless, having toured the home, my wife and I went aside privately to discuss matters, and we were in total agreement this was the home for us. We told them on the spot we'd pay $1.7 cash, and the deal was done. Without boring you with all the workings of the sale and the move, suffice to say we had arrived in there, now living in the home. During all the time that had passed after the sale, my wife and I must have had 100 discussions about why this couple would sell so cheaply after investing so much and only living there 4 years. Nevertheless, the home was now ours, and at the time, we were glad to be there. Here we go. Over time, this chicken coop had become a bit of an enigma to us. It had to have cost easily $30,000 or $40,000 to build this coop, and it wasn't being used. We never did ask the previous couple what happened to the chickens. I guess at the time we thought they had just removed them knowing they were going to sell the home. However, before we get into our dealings with the coop, there's something that I must tell you. We were located in what was a fairly secluded property, which was in close proximity to a very large forested area. The only reason I even mention this is that during our first year in the home, my wife and I were regularly hearing what I would call a whoop, whoop, whoop sound coming from the forest. My wife had heard it first and asked me what kind of animal makes such a sound. I thought it might have been an elk or something of the sort and really never gave it much thought. It was some time later that we both became aware of what I will describe as a woodblock sound from an orchestra. They were very distinct sounds occurring sporadically, just like when the mallet strikes the hollow block during a piece of music. So now we're hearing a whoop and an occasional knock of a woodblock. I think it was in our second year that my wife and I were now giving some serious consideration to getting the coop up and running again. It wasn't something that you would just knock down or remodel. This was a purpose-built timber-framed chicken coop. It was designed that the outdoor pen butted up against the long side of what was a small building. And it had a large barn-type doors on both ends which gave you access to the hen house and the eggs. Very well thought out and constructed. The two of us did more than a little research into what was involved in raising chickens for eggs, and the resurgence of the coop was complete. It wasn't long into our newfound venture as chicken tenders, if that's the proper term, when I went out to get some eggs and found some chickens were running loose around the property. I wondered how they got out, of course. As I walked over to the coop, I saw a large portion of the pen's wire had been peeled back, and I stood there staring at it. I actually never did catch all of the chickens and was uncertain of how many may have been taken and what was actually lost after the fact, as you will soon learn. Now, we are retired professors, not hunters. In fact, in both of our combined lifetimes, neither of us had ever so much as handled a gun, let alone fired one. I say that now because I really don't look at the scene the way I didn't look at the scene the way that a hunter might have, looking for footprints or the like. I simply thought that some critter had torn open the fencing to get at the chickens and was successful at doing so. I inquired locally for someone to do the repairs, and actually, by no other means than pure dumb luck, I had contacted the same gentleman who had done the repair the day we were looking at the house. So, when he came over, he said to me, "I knew this was the house when you called me." As we were looking at the wire, I asked him about the last repair he had done, which to us looked quite extensive in nature. I told him the owner had told us it was from storm damage, and he started laughing hysterically. He said to me, "Storm damage my ass. The entire end of the building and front of the coop was destroyed by an animal. There was no storm damage, my friend." Now, my mind was spinning about the cheap sale price and the need to move quickly to the east for family matters. If they lied about the coop, the rest was a lie also. I said to him, "Well, I still have 9 chickens in the building, so if you could, please just repair the fencing and we'll see what happens." I think it was 2 or 3 days later, when my wife and I were returning from a dinner in town, that I swung into the driveway rather quickly with my high beams on. Out here, there are plenty of animals to run into, so it's high beams all the time. From the end of the driveway, looking right at the end of the coop, I could see one of the 2 barn doors was ajar. And this was not how I left it upon leaving home that night, just a few hours beforehand. My wife had noticed it at the same time I did. I had just opened the door to step out, leaving the car running, when not one but 2 gigantic hairy monsters came crashing out of the coop, smashing the doors out of their way in the process. The 2 then paused for a split second, staring at the car's lights, and contorted their upper bodies, and then as fast as they had emerged from the shed, they were gone like a shot into the darkness. Now we knew the truth of what had actually happened to the former owners. We called the contractor back over. He was shocked when we told him that we saw 2 Bigfoot ransacking the coop. He did say that this is exactly what he suspected the first time around, but he hadn't said anything to them. I asked him if he had ever seen any, to which he said no, adding that there are, however, many others who say they have. In the days following, I actually paid him to demolish the coop and take it off the property. During the weeks and months following this encounter, my wife and I were going to immediately sell the home like the previous owners had. Thankfully, we didn't act hastily. After 6 months or so, all of the whooping and knocks had ceased, and there were no further issues around the house. Now, I asked the couple about any details in regards to when the Bigfoot came out of the shed, any additional details. This is what they told me. "Well, everything happened so quickly, as we told you. these two beasts came out virtually on top of each other. They had to have ducked down to be in there and to get out. I say this because in the few seconds that we saw them in the light, they were both virtually about 9 feet tall. They almost looked like twins. The coop is 10 feet wide at the end, and their upper bodies, when standing side by side, concealed the side of the coop. One of them had actually smashed through 2 of the boards on the ramp leading into the coop when they came out. The boards were 2x8 cedar, supported underneath by cross members. And I don't know what type of weight or force would be needed to accomplish that, but they did. I will also tell you this. The human mind is not capable of registering these things. They are so big and so otherworldly that you cannot believe what you are seeing, and yet you are. Well, Kev?
Wow. So when the deal is too good to be true, it really is too good to be true.
Yeah, well, there seemed to be a reason behind it. And but interesting how they had the contractor demolish it and take it away.
Yeah.
And like done with it. Similar to me smashing the cherub face off the wall.
Very similar, actually.
Right? Just get rid of the problem. End of story.
And I'm damn glad that cherub's not here in my house with me.
Well, if you think about it, Kev, even a fox or raccoons, I am sure, like with the uptick of people having chicken coops.
Oh, yeah.
That all these little varmints are well familiar with who's got a coop.
No, I got a buddy that's got a chicken coop, and he made it like what he thought was fox-proof. And then he came out the one day and, they had ripped these chickens apart.
That is incredible, right?
Yeah.
They are relentless
in
in their pursuit. Right, in suburbia.
Yeah.
Well, and here these, a pair of Bigfoot, obviously seeing an easy meal, penned in chickens. It's like going for some hogs on a farm that are in a pig pen.
I think it's a drive-through over at Wendy's.
Yeah, I mean, you just hop over the fence and grab
you
one
got
of
any
them.
Frosty? All right, I'll take the chickens.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy pickings, right?
No, absolutely easy pickings. They're penned in.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any better.
It's not hard to believe, and these deals that look too good to be true, man, I've seen it before, you've seen it before. Maybe not with a Bigfoot and a chicken coop, but...
Yeah, my friend Danny. You've met Danny, Kev,
yeah.
My fishing buddy. And Danny raises all kinds of birds and stuff. He horse trades venison. He does all kinds of weird stuff. Danny was out by his coop one day, and he raises like a couple of birds he sells. They're like a delicacy. I think he raises some... I don't know what he does, but he was outside his coop one day with one of these birds in his hand, and a red-tailed hawk came flying out of nowhere. He didn't see it coming and snatched the bird out of his hand.
Doesn't shock me, Bill.
And flew away with it.
We got a pair of them living here right close to our house here in Raleigh, and I'll tell you what, I'll be walking around in the backyard and turn around and want to buzz my head.
No kidding.
Yeah, and they are monsters.
They are big birds.
And then I'll be walking around the block and I'll see them, and they're sitting on a really low branch of a little maple tree. I mean, 6 feet off the ground.
Uh-huh.
Just looking at me, not afraid at all.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. They're very stern.
Yeah.
And,
might have been giving me the evil eye now that I think about it.
Well, I notice them all the time on the side of the highway. And I think that in that grass, the grass on the shoulders and stuff, I think there's easy pickings for them in the form of field mice, moles.
Yeah.
Stuff they
I
could
think they're eating all day long, Bill.
Yeah, I think they could just leap down
They're
and
just
snatch
super
something.
patient and watching. They grab a mouse, grab a little mole,
Small rabbit,
rabbits. Yeah,
squirrels, whatever.
no doubt.
But it's amazing, man. So the evil eye.
Yeah. And, Bill, we were talking about superstition. And like I was saying, I'm a little superstitious. But when you were talking about like this evil looking cherub thing hanging on the wall, man, I can't tolerate any of that stuff. So I guess that calls me that would be superstition too, right?
No, not me.
Okay.
Well, for you, yes, if you just can't tolerate it. But this thing was not evil looking. It had a smile on it, and Mom must have thought it was cute.
No, I'm not saying it's evil looking. Sorry, but it'll just for whatever reason, it gives me the creeps.
Now, what I will say is this. No coincidence that this thing was created with its eyes closed.
Yeah.
And that what was happening to me was this demonic face, looked like Satan himself, if you could picture what a Satan would look like, telling me, you're going blind. Just like that. No mixed words. And it was repetitious, night after night after night.
Wow.
And then, like I said to you, it's coming back to me now. I opened my eyes one day, and I was looking directly at this thing. It was facing my bed. And a voice said to me, that thing on the wall is a cursed object. Destroy it. Mm. And I did. So there are people out there that are doing things deliberately to objects to pass things on to people. They have evil intent.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. It's not like I have just pictures of flowers and Bambi up on the wall. I mean, like I'm sitting here at my desk and I got a pretty creepy looking Mothman painting that my daughter gave me, but I like it. It's Mothman. Like it doesn't give me any demonic feel, although it is quite demonic looking. But so it's not that it has to be, polka dots and flowers, but certain things like you see them and you're like, oh, I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, well, this seemed relatively innocent.
Yeah, those cherubs, you can't trust them.
Well, it depends who was creating things in the pottery shop and what their background was and their beliefs are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strange stuff going on out there, man.
No doubt.
And everything is not freaking rosy.
No doubt about it.
So, Kev, what do we have in our listener mail today?
Yeah, we got some good listener mail, Bill. My first one comes in from David. And David sends in a video clip that you and I had looked at a couple of weeks ago, but we didn't talk about on the show. Yes. And he says, this was sent to me from the channel How to Hunt. This is actual military footage of a Sasquatch running up a mountain at high speed. He estimates it at around 35 to 40 miles an hour. That's being tracked by a helicopter. Mm-hmm. And you and I talked about it. It's like, folks, I don't know that it's a helicopter. It could be a drone. It could be a AC-130 at 20,000 feet zoomed in on this thing, or it could be a video game. Like, I don't know. But picture something with like a infrared image camera, and you see this like what looks like a hairy Bigfoot running, again, at high speed through the woods and looks like up the side of a mountain, but it's pretty close zoomed in. It's not a person. Mm-hmm. My only question is it real or is it, something from a video game?
I had a friend who served in the military not all that long ago. And when I postulated the man's assessment helicopter, his immediate thought looking on it was a military drone.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, a drone.
Yeah, but based on the way the image was kind of checking off and on when you watched it, and certain little widgets that went on during the filming, his assessment was that it was from a drone, not from a helicopter with, two crewmen in it, looking at a fixed camera coming off the base of the Cobra
pretty,
gunship.
Pretty cool tracking. Like, if it's real, boy, then it's unmistakable evidence. But I just couldn't find, when I researched it a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't find anything else about it,
Well, why would you? The guy claim if it's true.
No, I know, but you'd think somebody would post it to YouTube, and then you'd see, a million people that looked at it and different comments about it, So.
Well, the dude said he had an audience of about 30,000 people.
Right.
So it would depend how long it took to people get a hold of it.
And that's the other thing. We don't really know how recent the footage was. So maybe we'll hear more about it, and then we'll start covering it.
Right. Well, what he did say was that he had been sitting on it for several years before he got the okay to show it. He was given it several years ago, and who knows how old it was when he was given it.
Right.
Somebody could have been sitting on that for 10 years and decided to give it to him 3 years ago.
Sure.
And I tell you, man, I'll be honest with you, that looked pretty damn authentic to me.
Oh, no. I mean, it looked real, other than if somebody, it came from a video game or something. I'm not saying it did. That was my only skepticism, because I've seen very similar images, only not of Bigfoot, of course, in a video game.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you heard that loud cracking sound, that darn amulet just fell off of my desk.
No kidding.
Yeah.
See, Kev, there's something wrong there.
I know.
So what are you going to do about it?
I think it's going in the trash. Outside.
You see, once these things get your attention, I don't even know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, because you know how I am. Yesterday, I went over to visit Eddie and Susan today, and who they are to the audience doesn't matter, Kev. You know who they are.
Yep, I know who they are.
And I get over there, and I was also a lector today at noon, and we had lunch together, Chinese food. As soon as I got there, Eddie and Sue know how I am, who I am, and they said to me, Uncle Bill, Eddie had a dream last night that little Eddie got bit in the leg by a snake. And while Eddie had been, during the morning or whatever, been thinking about this, it seemed very real to him, he got in touch with Eddie's daughter, Sophia. Sophia basically told Eddie, I can't believe what you're telling me. I had the same dream.
Holy mackerel.
Both of them had the same dream last night. So I'm sitting there at their kitchen table with Chinese food, munching, before we got to Chinese food, actually, and I said to them, this is the interpretation of the dream. I said, the dream has nothing to do with the snake. The snake is indicative of Satan and an attack that he's readying on little Eddie. And I said, they were freaking out because, he's studying flying and they're thinking the worst. And I said, it has nothing to do with plane crashes or anything. I said, he is going to use an individual or individuals to try to levy an attack against little Eddie to sidetrack him from his studies. So then they asked me if I would call up little Eddie later on, which I did. And I told him basically what I just told you. And he said, well, thank you, Uncle Bill. I'm really on my guard, blah, 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 And
yeah, that's good, though.
Yeah, this is how things happen.
Yeah, that's weird, man.
Two people separated by great distances, sleeping in different beds in different places, don't just have the same dream about one of them being bit by a snake accidentally.
No way. Yeah.
So the warning was given to them, and then Uncle Bill stepped in with the interpretation, thank God. And it was set up that way for protection, and that little Eddie could know what's coming beforehand. And I said to him, little Eddie, what is going to be done is not done in secret. I said, now that you know the facts, you will observe and know when it is happening, and you will just be able to resist it. So it's better to have a warning and heed it than to be caught by surprise.
Absolutely.
So that's how it fell out.
Be steadfast.
Yep. That's how it fell out.
All right, Bill. Well, that's a good podcast. We're going to stop there to give me time to go out to the garbage with my evil eye amulet.
Why don't you take it out to the range and blast it?
I would. I can't really let any lead fly here.
No, I mean, just pin it to a tree somewhere down at the...
Yeah, but then I got to carry it with me.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not carrying it, Bill.
Maybe you could just pulverize it with a sledgehammer in the driveway.
I was thinking about that, but then I have the remnants in the driveway. I'm just going to put it in the Wake County trash receptacle. Let it go to the dump and get run over at the landfill.
The dump.
All right, Bill, great podcast. We got some high creepiness, some good stories, and, of course, a really good Bigfoot encounter in Oregon.
Yeah, and folks, please go out and buy a copy or two of audiobook, paperback, ebook, read some Kindle. And remember this, folks. If you should find yourself walking around in Northern California, or Oregon, New Hampshire, Virginia, North Carolina, you best remember one thing, my friends. Always carry more gun than you think you're going to need. Sleep tight.